Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ashe. I am an Ascended Master and I train people on how to gracefully maneuver through the third density consciousness and successfully arrive to fifth density consciousness. I wanted to teach a lesson today about trauma bonding, and let's get into it. We talk about the beginning of trauma bonding, how it goes, love bombing, and how it all ends. Okay, so let's bless. First, we're going to be inhaling some frequencies. So I have 2 of my Tibetan singing bowls, and if you have earphones in, please be mindful, okay? So we're going to be taking a deep inhale, 1, 2, 3. Breathing in love and renewal, breathing out negativity, fear, low self-worth. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. So let's get into Chance and Bethany. As a young chick, Bethany the bird always knew that one day she would have to fly away and build a nest of her own. Bethany looked at the world as a big juicy steak, and not only did she want to take a bite, she wanted to cook a steak of her very own. Because she was full of life, she made sure that when it was time for her to go, she was ready. She burst out of the nest, soaring high, dodging every obstacle that came her way. She even began to build a small nest of her own. One day, while gathering the supplies for her nest, she was struck in the wing by something that was not directly aimed at her. She became a casualty because of this, and head first, she sailed straight into the ground. But this bird was resilient, and she knew that obstacles were inevitable, and despite the serious injury, she knew she had to keep moving. So she got up and started walking back to her tree. While she walked, she began to sing. She sang the song of her soul, and that is what kept her going. Onwards, she walked, feeling the pain of a damaged wing, but singing her song and singing her lungs out. A passerby heard her. He was a human, and let's call him Chance. He looked around to try and match a face to that beautiful voice, but none of the humans were whistling. So he looked down and saw tiny Bethany holding her wing, singing her song, and slowly making her way to her destination. He was mesmerized by her voice, and it gave him chills. Chance thought that the best way he could express his love for her and her music was to pick her up and take her to the vet, hoping that he could ease her pain. The vet fixed up little Bethany real nice. But she was still unable to fly for some time. So to Chance, this was a sign that he should take little Bethany home and nurse her back to 100%. So on their way home, I'm just so excited. He stopped by the pet store and showered little Bethany with gifts and treats. He kept kissing her and telling her how much he loved her, and she understood the universal language of love, and she expressed her affection by singing a song that was made just for Chance. They developed an unbreakable bond. He got her a cage on the porch where she could sing for him as the sun rose. And he went out there to her every morning, taking her out of her cage, kissing her little face, and feeding her from his hand. The love was immeasurable between them, and their bond was special. She sings loudly to show her appreciation to Chance for all that he has done and for sharing love with her. After listening to the same bird song for some time, Bethany could sense Chance's boredom. She made him a new song, telling him that she still loved him and she was still grateful. But the only emotion Chance displayed was disdain, and she could feel it. But she still kept on singing newer songs, fresher songs, hoping that Chance would give her the time of day. He hasn't been on the porch in a while, she thought. I'm guessing he doesn't love me anymore. My wing is healed, so maybe he will let me fly away. Poor Bethany didn't know what was in store for her. Weeks passed by as Bethany sat in her cage on the porch, singing for Chance, but he was not, but she was not fruitful. What was done? Oh my God. Pardon me, guys. I am just so nervous and so happy to be reading from my heart. This is a story that I wrote. Okay. So weeks passed by as Bethany sat in her cage on the porch, singing for Chance, but she was not fruitful. What was once a handheld feeding followed by tiny bird kisses was now just bird food thrown on a plate and thrown aggressively into her cage. Sadness washed over Bethany. She was so brave, as she was losing someone who she loved, someone who she was immensely attached to. Over time, her songs began to change. It was no longer songs of happiness and love, but songs of sorrow and sadness. She would wail all through the night, disturbing everyone's sleep. When Chance had had enough, he stormed toward the porch to get Bethany's He stormed towards the porch to get Bethany's cage. She thought this was it. He was finally going to let her go so that she could sing for someone who enjoys the music of birds. The feeling of excitement overcame her as he picked up her cage. She was so happy she could burst. Imagine her shock when he opened the door and it was the garage. He placed the cage on a table in the garage and threw a blanket over it. Seriously, guys, she froze. And when she decided to express herself, all she could do was cry. Bethany cried day and night and night and day. The only time she saw light was when Chance was throwing her meal into her cage and coming back for the empty dish. How could one be so cold to someone or something that they said they loved? Weeks would go by and Bethany would receive no affection. This made her songs grow sadder and sadder by the day. When Chance has friends over, he would just turn up the noise to drown Bethany's cries for affection. So one of Chance's friends heard her crying and was asking Chance where that sound came from. And Chance said, "What sound?" So this friend followed the noise into the garage and saw the most beautiful little bird singing her songs of sorrow. He says, "Chance, I never knew you had a bird. Look how beautiful she is, and listen to the voice. It's pristine. Why do you keep her under a blanket?" Chance was so ashamed. He couldn't speak. They went back into the living room to continue their evening, but Chance's friend couldn't help but feel the pain of that bird. And when he went to say goodbye to her, he made sure that Chance wasn't looking, and he took her out of the cage and pushed her through the back window, and he said to her, "Someone will appreciate your light." This concludes the story of Chance and Beth. Such a strong energy. Strong energy. This is the voice of the unheard. So we touched on the beginning of trauma bonding, the love bombing, the coming to your rescue, right? The coming to your rescue. And because of that coming to the rescue, it gives a feeling of obligation. So we feel obligated to narcissists because they came in at the perfect time of our downfall. It was perfect timing when we were unable to stand. We were getting ready to fly, but we had a broken wing. And they came in, they were our hero. They saved the day, took us to the vet, got us all patched up, and wanted to ensure that we were okay by taking us home and getting us all the things, showering us, love bombing us, showering us in gifts. And we're just so grateful for them, and we feel like we have to repay them. And we repay them, and after a while, because it's a trauma bond, when you're no longer traumatic, the bond breaks. And we suffer. The Queens of Pentacles, we suffer because the bond has broken. You're no longer wounded. You have stepped into the warrior energy, and you want to reciprocate that love. You want to give them this love. You want to, thank you, Spirit. You want to give them the healed you love. But they were addicted to the wounded you. The wounded you gave them a sense of purpose, right? The wounded you fed their ego. Thank you. And as you rise in consciousness, as we rise in consciousness, we will realize that it's okay to walk away from things that no longer serve you, right? It's okay to stand up for yourself and say, yes, you helped me. Yes, I am on my feet. Yes, I tried to help you, and I tried to give you the energy that you gave me, but in a healed way. I have transmuted this wounded warrior, this wounded energy, this wounded space. I'm no longer that person, and I want to give you some of this new me love, and you rejected it. I have a right to walk away. And we have to realize that a lot of people don't realize that they have the right to peace. They have the right to walk away, right? And people choose to stay in these kinds of relationships for God knows what. No one's perfect. I know I'm not perfect. I broke generational curses when I walked away. I broke generational curses. So what that tells me is that for my past lives, I went back and I stayed in the cage, and I shut up when I was told, and I accepted the breadcrumbing, the bare minimum in the past, and I called forth the strength of the ascended masters. I called forth the strength of my multi-dimensional self. I called forth the strength and the protection of the archangels. And that is how I was able to walk away, because it was some deep shit, right? So that's what you got to do when it's time to walk away. You just got to you got to put your foot down. You got to say enough is enough, because no one's going to say enough is enough for you. Everyone loves it when you're wounded. You please them, you people please when you're wounded. You think that you won't be able to make it without these people when you're wounded. But in reality, fuck them, right? So that was my little way of teaching trauma bonding. I hope this helped whoever it needs to. Whoever wants a more scenic way of viewing trauma bonding, education comes in all forms. So what's important is the message. This is a fun visualization exercise for those who are just meditating and want to relax and want to see a story, like an audiobook, like a podcast. Yeah, I'm that guy. All right, third Density Consciousness Masterclass, live on June 30th. That's 3 days from now. Today is the 27th, and I'm feeling all the jitters. Very happy. I can't wait to see you. My Patreon is live and ready. My first 2 consciousness masterclasses will be on both YouTube and Patreon, and they will be free. For my first one, we'll be talking about me, and I will be bringing forth my higher self, the Ascended Master Ashe, and let her speak. I don't know what she's gonna say, and I don't want to know. I'm just so excited. for it to happen live for you. So be there or be square. It's going to be at like 12 p.m. Yeah, 12 p.m. Yeah. So be there or be square. See you later. Lots of love, lots of light.